Sorry, Zoom.
Murali, you are also in on Spotlight, correct?
My video is off, Sriram.
But you are on Spotlight. We can see this screen.
You can start.
Okay, but G, you can start. So it's the introduction video first, okay?
Yeah, Sriram.
Yes.
Yeah, and make the announcements.
What announcements? Okay, I'll just make some announcements.
Everyone, please mute and all that.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Namaskaram, everyone. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Today is another session of Jnana Sudha, which will be starting very shortly. I just want to go through the ground rules before we start it. This program is being broadcast and telecast on YouTube. For more information, go to www.svbfcanada.com to get more information. We'll be starting with the introduction video of Jnana Sudha. It will be followed by Dr. Param Bhatt's introduction to today's guest and speaker. And it will be followed by Professor Ananthanarayanan's lecture on today's topic. And after about an hour, we will have a brief question answer session, which will be moderated by Sri Ravi Shankar. And it will be concluding with the vote of thanks by Brinda Murli. Please switch off your videos and audios so that we can hear the speaker speak, and also for the benefit of all the listeners and viewers. So let's go to the introduction video. Murali, thank you.
ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादम् शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। नमस्ते शारदे देवी शृङ्गेरी पुरवासिनी नित्यम् विद्यां बुद्धिं च देहि मे देवि शारदे ज्ञानप्रदे ज्ञानेश्वरी ज्ञानवाहिनी ज्ञानकोशं समुद्घाटय ज्ञानसुधां सदा वर्षय अन्तर्ज्योतिर्बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परः ज्योतिर्ज्योतिर्स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम् हरिः ॐ तत्सत्। Namaste. Our Sanatana Dharma, the way of leading life, is a finely tuned web of culture, customs and traditions, fine arts, literature and science. Sanatana Dharma is Jnana Kosha, the rich treasury of knowledge. Our Guru Parampara, starting from Sadashiva all the way down to the present Guru, is a sturdy boat of knowledge, Jnana Nauka. It is sailing on the river of knowledge, Jnana Vahini. This Jnana Nauka is carrying all the Gurus, Rishis, Munis and Darshanikas, who are all holding Jnana Kosha with utmost care and love. This boat is driven and guided by none other than Jnaneshwari Sharadamba, who is magnetically attracting all individuals by sprinkling Jnana Sudha, the nectar of knowledge, all through the way. Jnana is immortal, Amrita. It is sweet and nourishing like Sudha, milk. This Jnana Sudha is very essential to every individual to realize the supreme truth, Brahma Satya. With the blessings of Devi Sharadamba and our Sringeri Sri Jagadgurus, SVBF Canada is having the vision of conducting Jnana Sudha as an ongoing scholars, revered Swamijis of various ashramas, artists of various fine arts, sharing their knowledge through talks, lectures, demonstrations, workshops, and artistic presentations as well. Let us all take part in sipping this Jnana Sudha to become a real good human being, as well as to grow as divine being.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shriram, are you okay? Can you hear me?
Your video is not there. You're okay now.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Valli Devasena Sahita Subramanya Swamine Namaha. Good afternoon, everyone. Sringeri Vidyabharati Foundation Canada, or SVBF Canada for short, is proud to bring eminent scholars on Sanatana Dharma to educate and enlighten us on the rich heritage that we have inherited. It is our duty and responsibility to maintain and pass it on to the next generation to the best of our ability. In this regard, Professor Ananthanarayanan, whom you are about to hear, is one of those persons who can transmit such knowledge with authority. I met Professor Ananth about 11 years ago during our Kumbhabhishekam of this temple. From the very first moment I met him, I knew he is, like what we say in my native language, Kannada, as Tumbida Koda. That means a pot which is full of water. It is not half full, which will splash and make noise. A full pot never makes noise and stays calm and quiet without showing outside what it contains. And Professor Ananthanarayanan is such a person which is like a pot full of water. He is a person of immense knowledge and understanding of our literature, spirituality, our dharma, etc. But he never shows it off. His humility, sincerity, and kindness are exemplary, and we can all learn a lot from him. By profession, Professor Ananth is a retired professor of biochemistry. He retired from McMaster University here in Hamilton. Before that, he had taught in many universities in different parts of the world. He has done extensive research, published numerous research papers, and so on. Together with these academic studies, Professor Ananth developed his interest in Tamil literature as well from a very young age. He began composing Tamil poems right in his high school days. Madurai Tamil Sangam awarded him a gold medal for his early works. Today, Professor Ananth is a well-recognized Tamil poet, Carnatic musician, spiritual scholar, and listen to this. He is a recognized Tai Chi teacher who voluntarily teaches Tai Chi at a senior's home here in Mississauga. As in chemistry, the breadth and depth of his knowledge in these disciplines is amazing. As a poet, he has written more than 450 poems on Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. He writes these poems on the occasion of each pradosham. He continues to write these poems, and there is no repetition in these poems. These poems were published in a book a few years back. Professor Ananth has received numerous awards and titles for his poetic works and his contribution to Tamil literature. Some of the accolades that he received are Shivaseva, Shivakavi Chintamani, Kaviperum Sudha, etc. Today, Professor Ananth will talk to us about the revered Acharya, Saint Arunagirinadhar, and his worship of Lord Muruga or Subramanya, and the spirituality and Vedantic aspects contained in one of the greatest Tamil literatures, the Thirupugazh. Professor Ananthanarayanan, we at SVBF are proud to have you as one of our own mentors, teachers, and a spiritual guide. A warm welcome to you, sir, for the SVBF Jnana Sudha series of presentations. Thank you, Professor Ananthanarayanan.
Namaskaram to everyone. I'll start with a prayer to Vigneshwara, composed by Adi Shankara in the Subramanya Bhujanga Stotra. Sada Balarupa Pivignadrihantri Mahadanti Vaktra Pipanchasya Manya Vidhendra Dimrigya Ganesha Vidhame Vidhattam Shriyam Kapi Kalyana Murti. Vetrivel Muruganukku Araharohara, Sadguru Arunagirinathar Araharohara. Uruvai, Aruvai, Uladai, Iladai, Maruvai, Malarai, Maniyai, Uliyai, Karuvai, Uyirai, Gatiyai, Vidiyai, Guruvai, Varuvai, Arulvai, Guhane, Ingal Guruvai, Varuvai, Arulvai, Guhane. Namaskaram again. Thank you, Dr. Bhatt, for an introduction which I don't think I really deserve. I want to thank Dr. Alakananda as well and the SVBF board for asking me, to be a part of this program to talk about Thirupugazh, which is an extraordinary contribution by Saint Arunagirinadhar to the Bhakti and Vedantic literature. By the way, I want to thank also Sri Ram and Ravi Shankar and Brinda and Muralidhar. All of them volunteered to help with various things, including slide projection. As a divine coincidence, today happens to be Shukla Shashti Day. It was yesterday and today together is Shukla Shashti Day, which is a especially auspicious day for worshipping Lord Subramanya. And Dr. Bhatt and the SVBF have been very kind in letting the Toronto Thirupugazh Ishai Varibada group, of which I am a participant as well, to do our monthly Shashti bhajans at the altar of Lord Subramanya, here in this temple. This has been going on for many years. They have been helping us for a long time, including these pandemic-stricken days via Zoom. We are able to do that. Actually, we celebrated our monthly Shashti Bhajan only yesterday online. Thanks again to Dr. Param Bhatt and the volunteers helping us with the Zoom facilities. So I was informed by Dr. Bhatt to format my talk to at a very introductory level, to, as the flyer says, to those who may have heard about Thirupugazh and about Arunagirinadhar, but may not know much about its author, Saint Arunagirinadhar, and the content and significance of Thirupugazh. This, in a way, is a big relief for me, because I'm not that competent a person to do justice to this rather ambitious talk, the title that I have given for this talk. Maybe if anyone in the audience now feels that they have, he or she has entered the wrong classroom, this is probably the time to, quietly leave. Maybe I should turn my back. In any case, just to say that this is going to be very, at a very basic level. And I'll start off with the meaning of the word Thirupugazh. Thirupugazh means in Tamil, supreme praise or divine glory. In the present context, it denotes the musical hymns of Saint Arunagirinadhar, extolling the divine glory of Lord Subramanya, known in Tamil Nadu as Murugan, Muruga or Murugan. The adjective Thiru in Thirupugazh, adjective Thiru preceding any word in Tamil, denotes a special or superior characteristic of the subject matter. For example, you may have, of course, heard about Tirupati and Thiruvannamalai and even in literature, Thirukural, Thiruvachakam are all attributes or bring out the glory of those particular places or works. So let me start off with the help of the Muralidhars, the first slide, which shows Murugan as we worship in Tamil Nadu is married to two consorts, Valli on the right side of Murugan and Devayane on the left side of Muruga. So Valli, one second. Yeah, in our in a symbolic way, Valli represents the Jivatma and Devayane represents the Shakti which comes out of the ultimate Brahman, which is Subramanya. As the name itself suggests, Subramanyam means Brahma principle. So he is the ultimate one and undivided Brahman, Subramanya is. And when he manifests himself with a saguna or with attributes, for the sake of the jivas here, like us, then that Ishvara has the counterpart, which is the Shakti, the power in him. So that is Devasena, the power, the Shakti Swarupa. And Valli, of course, is the Jiva representing all of us. In fact, when I initially said that we conduct our Sashti Bhajans here in SVBF, and also we also conduct Valli marriage, we call Valli Kalyanam. That actually signifies the union of the Jiva with the Paramatma, which is the goal of the Jiva. In fact, as Thirupugazh has lots and lots of places where Murugan literally goes out of the way. He actually touches the feet of Valli, telling that his compassion to us is so much that all we have to do is to open our hearts to him and then unite with him. This union, which is, yoga also means union, to unite, yoga. So this union is what the goal of our entire life is. And I would like to, remember this as we do all our pujas with various forms of gods with various attributes. We want to merge with that, God or deity whom we are worshipping. So the next slide shows Sadguru Arunagirinathar, a picture which is not authentic, but that's the way we come to know him. Can I have the next slide? Hello. Can I have the next slide?
Murli, can we have the next slide?
Yeah. Am I okay with my voice and everything?
You're okay, doctor.
Yeah, okay. So let me continue. So this slide shows Saint Arunagirinadhar in the foreground and the Tiruvannamalai hill and the temple in the background. Tiruvannamalai is where the saint was born. And I don't... Yeah, and in the slide also shows a commemoration stamp in honor of Saint Arunagirinadhar that the government of India released in the year, I think, 1975, which was guessed in approximately to be the 600th birth anniversary of Arunagirinadhar. So let us now proceed with the format of this talk, which I have, the way I have arranged is to start off with the discovery of Thirupugazh. For some reason, unlike many other earlier works, like all the 12 Tirumurais and Thevarams and Alvars, Divya Prabandham, and even works dating back to 2000 years ago like Nakirar's Tirumuruga Tripadai, and the Sangha literature. Unlike all those great works that are available to us now, this relatively recent production of Arunagirinadhar in the form of Thirupugazh, which took place only about 600 years ago, has been dormant for a long time. There is no real knowledge as to why that happened, but maybe because the times in which Arunagirinadhar lived, as we will see soon, was such a chaotic situation. So maybe it got hidden somewhere. In any case, let's now thank the people who brought Thirupugazh and the beauty of all these verses to light in the later half of 19th century. These are a father-son combination of Sri Subramanya Pillai and Sri Shengalvaraya Pillai, living in Tiruttanigai. They were responsible, took an extraordinary effort to bring Thirupugazh to public view. Let me tell you, how this is very interesting to know how it was found. So in 1871, Subramanya Pillai, who was at that time a district munsif is a position in a court, he had the opportunity to hear a witness from Chidambaram. Actually, that witness belongs to one of the traditional 3,000 Dikshidars of Chidambaram. So in defense of his case, the Dikshidar was quoting a song. And the song was so beautiful, rich in meaning and construction, that Subramanya Pillai, who was a great Tamil scholar, he was interested in knowing where it came from. The Dikshidar did not know where it came from, but then he did tell him that it's called Thirupugazh songs, and I have only this song. So this there is a similar incident in Tamil, where one Sri Swaminathan set out on a similar mission. I will leave that for now. So likewise, Subramanya Pillai started on a mission to collect all the available Thirupugazhs by going almost literally from house to house, looking at palm leaves, where it was, in those days that was where it was written. So collecting laboriously all these things, he published in 1894, and the first 1,000, the first available songs, 1,000 of Thirupugazh songs in 1894, and brought out a second edition in 1901. So, in other words, we come to know of Thirupugazh only for the past 170 years or so only, even though it was created a long time ago. After Sri Subramanya Pillai's demise, his son Chengalvaraya Pillai, who was also a very great scholar, he also was deeply involved in collecting more and more Thirupugazh songs. And thanks to his enormous, literally Himalayan effort, we now have as many as, but we can say as little, because the total number of Thirupugazh songs that we know Arunagirinadhar constructed or composed is as many as 16,000. So Shengalvaraya Pillai was able to very laboriously collect, add some more to his father's collection, and the available number now that we have in the form of books published by Thirupugazh Anbarkar is 1,335 or around there. So that's how. So you see that Bhagavan's, in this case, Murugan's grace works its way through, so that right now, as we speak, we are blessed, by Murugan and by Arunagirinadhar, thanks to the efforts of these people who go out of the way to help humanity. So now, having gotten this, precious gem-like bhakti literature, this reached the attention of Muruga Bhaktas, very prominent Muruga Bhaktas like Valli Malai Swamigal in the past, and Pittukudi Murugadas, for example, who lived not too long ago in our times. He has actually come to our houses also, very good bhajan singer. So Valli Malai Swamigal, Pittukudi Murugadas, and Sadhuram Swamigal, there are a few more people who tuned these songs because they were meant to be tuned to various talas and ragas. So they tuned them in their own way. Not all of them, a few of them, and then started using them in their prayers and bhajans. So in the early 70s, Sri Guruji Raghavan, who at that time was in Delhi, was and who was also very well versed in Tamil poetry, and not only that, he was also a great musician himself. So he, took upon the task of publicizing Thirupugazh, not in an ordinary way, but again in an extraordinary way by setting as many Thirupugazh songs as he could in his lifetime to beautiful ragans, and very, very importantly, to various specific talam patterns. Talam is the rhythmic beating. So these talam patterns are given by the saint himself, Arunagirinadhar himself, in the form of various sounds. Like if you have a verse of one line, it will have various what we call chandam sounds, like tayya, takka, tana, tanana, tanatana, etc. Each one has such a measured sound attached to it. So this we call as chandam, and to make an entire poem fall according to this chandam is a very demanding task for any person in Tamil who intends to compose such poems. So Guruji Raghavan, made this effort of putting, now as of today, he has, before his demise about 8 years ago in 2013, Guruji Raghavan set 503 Thirupugazh songs to this beautiful ragas and talas. So he also created, very importantly, very early in the game, he created this group called Thirupugazh Anbargal, that is devotees or lovers of Thirupugazh. And that was a formation which propagated Thirupugazh by way of what he called Thirupugazh Ishai Vadibadu. Ishai is music. So Thirupugazh in the form of music was propagated by Guruji Raghavan through this setup called the Thirupugazh Ishai Vadibadu method. So this specific way of singing Thirupugazh songs was so beautiful that very soon it got a lot of public attention, and Thirupugazh Anbargal groups and Thirupugazh Ishai Vadibadu method spread all over India within a very short time. Lots of very talented disciples joined Guruji Raghavan. One of them, Srimati Tara Mami, was our guru in Toronto for our group for a long time. So this group of ours started, I think, in the early beginning of 1980. So it's about 40, 50 years already. 40 years, So Tara Mami, taught us, and we follow that method, when we do our bhajan. So that the next slide shows Guruji Raghavan doing, his picture, as well as, can I have the next slide, Murali? Yeah, it would show you the picture of Guruji Raghavan, also a small snapshot of the bhajan that he did in, I think, the year 1990 in one of our houses. when he visited us. He has visited us a couple of times. And so can I have the next slide? Oh, yeah, you can hold there. If I haven't already shown, this is Sri Subramanya Pillai and Shangalvaraya Pillai, whom I said were the discoverers of Thirupugazh, and we owe them a lot, for their service. So the next one will show you Guruji Raghavan. I suppose all of you are able to see the slides clearly. So yeah, on the left is being honored, and whenever he comes to bhajans, so that is his picture on the left side, and on the right side you may not be able to see that clip very clearly, but it is a small group of people who assembled with him in 1990 for a special occasion called Adi Kritige. And so it was the actual bhajans were recorded, and they are really, really beautiful. We cherish them in our hearts, along with the memory of our Guru Sri Raghavan. So now the next topic, I think I've done about 15 minutes, now. So the next topic will be the life of Arunagirinadhar. It would have been wonderful to have a good account of what Arunagirinadhar was like and how Thirupugazh was composed, etc. But unfortunately, there is no historic record of Arunagirinadhar's life. And of course, there are lots of hearsay stories. Many of them border almost nonsense. And so it's better to ignore them all altogether and then seek evidence in Arunagirinadhar's own, in the Thirupugazh songs themselves. And Arunagirinadhar has been very kind, to incorporate hints of his life in various forms in some of these poems. From them, we gather that he lived in Tiruvannamalai, in the 15th century, during the time of Emperor Krishnadevaraya in the south, and also one of his kings, subordinate kings by name Prabhuda Devaraya, who was actually controlling or ruling Tiruvannamalai. So Arunagirinadhar was a great scholar in Tamil as well as Sanskrit, and was in the good books of this king Prabhuda Devaraya. So much so, he was honored with one of the topmost titles given to a poet and a composer called Dindima Kavi. They take this poet on, I think, elephants, back all around the city, and then they beat the drums, to announce his glory. So this is how. So it means he was Arunagirinadhar. It also says this in his poems, so that he lived a normal life with family, including even parents. It looks like this Thirupugazh, I think, is the Manaya Valnahek. It starts with that word, so he gives that information. So this was going well for Arunagirinadhar in the first part of his life, but soon. I don't know whether it's misfortune or fortune, because this much misfortune, I'll tell you what the misfortune is. The misfortune was that he got distracted by the pleasures of the flesh, as they say, and then went after women, and was literally living a very immoral life in the later part of his life. So he mentions it very freely in his poems. For both reasons, it is possible but not probable that he was, telling all these things, assuming, for our sake, assuming our defects as his. But most likely, he was, living that way because, in the end, very disgusted with his way of life in this immoral way. Arunagirinadhar decided, at the later part, he decided to commit suicide. So then he went up the top of the tower of the Arunachaleshwara temple, the East Tower. I think I have a slide of the temple and the tower. If Murali can bring that to the fore. Yeah, that's the inner tower. And the previous slide shows the the Arunachaleshwara temple in the front and the mountain Arunachalagiri at the back. So it's a beautiful temple. My wife and I and several others, we used to visit Tiruvannamalai quite often. So you saw the tower, the East Tower, from the top of which Arunagirinadhar decided to commit suicide. But before that, he made an earnest prayer to Muruga to pardon him. He repented and he was filled with remorse, and he was repenting for all his sins, and then chanted Muruga, 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 and then fell. As you may have guessed, he was saved. He was saved by Muruga in the form of a sadhu. So this sadhu held Arunagirinadhar in his hands, and then one of the things that he did was to put this sadhu put his foot on Arunagirinadhar's head as well. And Arunagirinadhar mentioned this in some of his poems, and then also mentions what happened by that, what we call the sparsha, the pada sparsha, in the case of a guru, putting his foot on the disciple. It is a diksha, it's a pada diksha. So this honor of receiving pada diksha, this is very important for you to remember. Nobody else, as far as we know, has this privilege or the bhagyam of Lord Muruga, who himself is a guru of a guru. Like his father is Dakshinamurti, the ultimate guru, teaching to highly evolved rishis. Vasati Rishi Ganaya Brahmanishto. So those, he gave them, Dakshinamurti gave the Upadesha in the form of Mauna, by just being, Mauna, silent. To that guru, Subramanya, these are all plays that Ishvara, they in their form they do, so we have to put them in the context. But so the point is, Subramanya, as I said before, is Brahma Tattvam itself. It's a principle. The one Akantak or Brahma Swarupa. That principle, Muruga or Subramanya placing his foot and giving Arunagirinadhar immediate self-realization. That is Atma Jnana. So Arunagirinadhar, attained this Atma Jnana at that moment, and therefore all the Thirupugazh songs that we hear are so important and precious because they come out or came out of Jnani, a Purna Jnani. And this Purna Jnanam is elaborated by Arunagirinadhar in one of the subsections of the Thirupugazh as a group of songs called Kandara Anubhuti. Anubhuti means an experience. And normally Anubhuti, like the Vibhuti Yoga in Bhagavad Gita, Bhuti is the manifestation. So Anubhuti is the experience of that Brahmananda. So then this is what Jnani does. Out of compassion, he shares that Anandam with the rest of the public, so that they also are coaxed and get interested in attaining this Atma Jnanam instead of getting lured away by worldly pleasures and so on. So then after the this initial saving of Arunagirinadhar, Muruga asked the saint to come and see him in the temple of Vayalur. Vayalur is a small city near Tiruchirappalli, and there is a Murugan temple there. So Arunagirinadhar was asked to go there, and he went and stood at the altar of the Vigneshwara, Ganesha there. When Muruga appeared in front of him, and then touched Arunagirinadhar's tongue with his spear. We call it veil, the veil that Muruga holds. With that, the tip of that, he touched Arunagirinadhar's tongue, which gave immediately Arunagirinadhar an extraordinary power to compose poems. So this, because of the giver, Subramanya himself giving this power, Arunagirinadhar's Thirupugazh carry, the Thirupugazh songs carry superiority better than anything that we know of. We will see more of that very soon. That is, the songs that came out from the mouth of Arunagirinadhar after this initial diksha by Subramanya to making and sing all these songs are really, really extraordinary. So then Muruga also gave Arunagirinadhar a list of topics on which Arunagirinadhar should be singing or conforming or formatting his Thirupugazh song. This includes, the list includes, first to extol the glory of Muruga in his, divine countenance with 6 faces and 12 mighty shoulders, his, lotus-like feet, and the valor or the parakramam of the veil, the spear, and also the mayura, the vahana that Muruga has. This veil and this vahana, mayura, are actually war weapons for were war weapons for Murugan when he fought the Asuras, Asura clan, the Sura Padma and his associates. So the power of the Vahana was asked to be incorporated in the songs in Thirupugazh by Murugan, and then the glory of the what we call Seval in Tamil, rooster, the flag that that announces Muruga's arrival. And in the army also, in the war also, it's a very important thing to have that flag. Then Seval is also to be sung or included in the Thirupugazh songs. So this was the mandate. And as I said before, in the 16,000 or so songs, Arunagirinadhar was able to incorporate all these things, and also even more than what we would have expected. He had several sections dealing with several aspects of his experience and Muruga's glory. And so the Thirupugazh, as we call it, is a collective name. It's comprised of 9 individual sections. The main section is Thirupugazh, which is the largest collection of songs. So the majority of what we call Thirupugazh is the main songs. But then there is this Kandara Anubhuti songs, 51 of them, which I mentioned before, beautifully describes Arunagirinadhar's state of Brahma, the Brahman realization. So that's Kandara Anubhuti. Kandar Alankaram is another section of 107 songs, which describes the various beautiful Kalyana Gunas, as they say, the various aspects of Muruga's glory in Kandar Alankaram. Kandar Andadi, I don't want to go into the details of, because each one has a story behind it. Kandar Andadi is a very interesting story of Arunagirinadhar winning a poetic challenge by a Vaishnava poet, and so that is a very complicated, mind-boggling set of poems of 100 of them, Kandarandari. And then the various weapons, Vel Virutham, Mayil Virutham, Seval Virutham, Thiruvagup, again containing all these Vel, Mayil and Seval. And finally, a Chitra Kavi, a poem compose to conform to a geometrical figure. Like traditionally it could be a chariot or a bird like Annam, a swan, or so this Chitrakavi is very rare to be composed, and Arunagirinadhar was perhaps the second or third one to compose Chitrakavi, which is very challenging, and that's the 9th part. If there is a slide, then you might be able to see this division. Otherwise, I will move on. Murali, would you? I think I included that. So the next one to next one. Yeah, that one. So this is, what was the previous slide that, yeah, okay. So we'll come back to that later. Yeah, so the list that you showed comes first. So yeah, anyway, since I mentioned about all these divisions, so let's move on to the, the next slide, which shows the very first song that Arunagirinadhar sang in Vayalur in front of Muruga, which simply poured, just flowed out of his mouth like Ganges Pravaga. So that is shown in the child's thing, 7th, yeah, number 7. So this first song has been tuned by Guruji Raghavan in the Raga Gaulai. But one of the child prodigies in India by name Suryanarayanan, he has sung it in the Raga Shanmugapriya, and the Thalam is Tishra Tripura Thalam. So if we can now spend a few minutes, I think it's about 3 minutes, listening to this young man.
Kotti
So you had a sample of the all the Thirupugazh songs are composed in this way, and this set to the thala pattern, and very importantly the chanda pattern, varna chandam, which I mentioned before, is the construction itself has to be done in such a careful way that the songs come out with all this beautiful rhythm and musical tune. So nowhere else in any language that we know of has anyone composed as many as this 16,000 Varnachanda poems. There are a couple of examples in the Tirumurais, Jnana Sambandhar, and one other saint in the Tirumurai time. They have a song or two, but this is a huge collection of Chandam poems. So no wonder that Arunagirinadhar is regarded, is praised as Vakukka Arunagiri. That is Villukka Vijayan, Vakukka Arunagiri. Just like Arjuna is for the handling of the bow and arrow, Arunagiri is for poetic excellence. So this another thing that you may not have been able to notice in the song, which was sung in this way, is when you look at the actual words and the text, you will see that all the gods of the Shanmatas of Shankaracharya, starting from Ganapatyam to ending with Sauram, the gods of all the deity, all these deities are mentioned in this very first poem, and not only that, their glories, their various acts of leelas, they are also described in this poem. And last but not the least, the drum sound, likewise, even the a drum sound is set to that thala. So this is the kind of thing that you expect in a Thirupugazh. So no wonder we all get very much involved in singing them. And last but not the least, when you really go into the meaning of it, you forget everything. You lose yourself, in various things. In Arunagirinadhar's grace to give us such beautiful poem, in Muruga's grace in bringing Arunagirinadhar to us, and so on. So they all the thing. So each poem, each song of Thirupugazh, when you sing, just paying attention to the words and the concepts, you lose yourself, and that is bhakti, and that's what Arunagirinadhar promoted. So then Arunagirinadhar started to propagate this message of Muruga's glory among the public. So in those days, there was no social media, so one has to walk on foot. And Arunagirinadhar covered as many as 170 or 200 Muruga thalas, including one in Sri Lanka, Kadirkamam. He has a couple of songs on Kadirkamam Murugan. So he spread this glory of Muruga along with several other messages to the public, trying to mend, asking them to mend their ways, attending to worldly things, and then turn to Muruga. So we will have a couple of examples of it very soon. So in the process of spreading this message, Arunagirinadhar spent a bit more time in Murugan's presence in various important sthalas, 6 of the important Muruga Kshetras, which we call Aru Padai Veedugal. The Padai Veedugal is the abode of Muruga in special abodes. We will, if time permits, we will have an occasion to see what's special in each of these 6 Padal Veedugal. The next slide shows just their names, what they are. So, yeah, the next one, the one with the picture, yeah. Muruga, yeah, that one. So the first Padal Veedugal is Thirupugazh, about 5 miles from Madurai. And the next one is Tiruchendur on the seashore, on the eastern seashore. And then comes Thiruvavinnankudi, which actually is called by us as Parani. So Parani Murugan. And the next one is Swami Malai, where Muruga is supposed to have given the Upatesha on Pranava to his father Shiva. And Tiruttani is where Muruga married Valli. And Paramudir Cholai, where you see both Murugan's temple and Vishnu's temple. Vishnu is Muruga's uncle. So that is in Paramudir Cholai. I forgot to tell, in Thirupugazh, Murugan gets married to Devasena because Murugan had come out victorious, winning the war over the Surapadmas and redeeming the kingdom of Devaloka back to Devendra. So in gesture of gratitude, Devendra gives away his daughter Devasena to Muruga in marriage, and that is celebrated in that's a celebration in Thirupugazh. So Thiruvavinnankudi is where Muruga shows how you can attain, how to give up worldly pleasures and become an ascetic, if not in appearance, in mind. So Muruga, even at an young age, he shows that one can renounce everything and be a sannyasi right in the beginning. So, and so on. So each one has a story importance to it. And Arunagirinadhar has spent a little bit more time in singing about these salas. And so now we come to, in the remaining few minutes, we will try to see what else Arunagirinadhar did. So what I call is that Arunagirinadhar had a mandate set out for himself. This mandate is based upon what he saw around him when he was living there. This is 15th century where the Muslim rulers had already occupied India. The older kingdoms are all gone. Muslim rulers were governing most of North India, and they were also there was some influence in South India. So much so the Hindu Dharma values were all dwindling. There was a decline of all the great principles of Dharma in the Hinduism, and that resulted in people quarreling among each other. The Shanmata followers, each one of them, saying that their own deity is more superior than the others, and so on. So there was a lot of quarrels for various reasons among the public, because they didn't have any leader or guru. Because unlike the days of Adi Shankara, Ramanujacharya, this in-between period from the 12th century to 15th century was one of chaos. So the society was really looking for a guidance, and Arunagirinadhar took upon himself to educate them about the glory of Muruga and bring them back to the value system of Hinduism. So Subramanya worship, of course, was very much in the decline, the Kaumaram part of Shanmata. So this he used a very special technique to unite people. You saw in the previous song where the child was singing the Muttaitar song, where all the deities of all the Shanmatas were glorified. So he used that approach of bringing people together, both morally and religiously, by using the word avirodham. So if somebody asks you what is the main message of Avirodham, and also for us to take home, is Avirodham is a very powerful, succinct word carrying a lot of meaning. Avirodham on the surface says no virodham, no hatred, no animosity to anybody. So everybody was asked to forget differences and get love each other and so on. So, but Avirodham also has a deeper meaning. Virodha is something other, different from you. So Avirodha is no two, like Advaita, non-dual. So there is nothing, different from oneself. So the real self that is in us is only one. And so Avirodham is a method by which you can realize the God in yourself, even when you are living, among the, living like a normal person, mixing with the society. Avirodham is a principle to follow, both for bhakti and, Advaitic knowledge, as well as, living in harmony with the society. So, so the choice of Muruga is also very interesting. Arunagirinadhar chose Muruga, if I hadn't already mentioned, because he is a central person, God, whom Professor Pashupati has a chat note. I will read it later on to you. So about the number of poems available. So then, where was I? So Muruga is related to Ganesha as a brother, Shiva as the father of Shakti, as a mother, and Vishnu as the uncle. And so all the Shanmatas, and Saura worship is normally confined to yogic practices. And even in Sandhya Vandanam, we worship, Surya. So all the other five, including Kaumaram, of course, have been, have received justice in the choice of Muruga as the central deity for Thirupugazh. And so I wanted to highlight what Arunagirinadhar says, about Devi, because we are having it in the presence of Sharadamba. And let me show a slide, the next slide, if I can have it, which shows the, one second, the glory of Devi as described by Arunagirinadhar. 1 second, I will have that in my, I call it Devi Mahatmyam in Thirupugazh. So this one is one of the many, in fact, all the, whether it is Shiva or Vishnu, they all have several places where their leelas are described. And with respect to Devi, I'll read this out for you. Kumari, Kali, Varaki, Maheshwari, Gauri, Modi, Surari, Nirapari, Kodiya Shuli, Chudar Ani Yamali, Mahamayi, Kuralu Rupa, Murari Sahodari, Ulaha Udari, Ulaha Dhari, one who actually bears the entire under Prapancha. And then Udari, the one who is very generous, and she as a mother supports all of us. Parapari, beyond the observed, she is the ultimate. Guru Parari, she is also the ultimate Guru. So the Dakshinamurti is a Guru, but she is also an ultimate Guru. And Vikari Namokari Abhirami, very beautiful. Samara Neeli Purari, that I underlined those with a red mark, because Purari is generally Shiva, who destroyed Tripura by, the flying cities of 3 cities, Tripura. Shivan is supposed to have destroyed it by just a smile. So then what Arunagirinadhar says is who really destroyed the Tripuras is Shakti, because without Shakti, Shivan is incapable of doing anything. So she becomes the Purari, and she also becomes Para Yogi. The Para Yogi. She's the ultimate yoga yogi of yogis. And another thing is Munir Vida Bhojane. From Munir is the name for ocean. The milk ocean, when it produced a poison, it was Devi who drank it because and digested it. Bhojani, she actually digested the poison as it entered Shiva's throat and saved him. So really, it is her grace that saved Shiva. And he also carries the Tigiri Mevu Vakayali. Mevu Kayali. In her hand, she also carries like Vishnu, the chakra, and Sakala Vedama Mayana. She is the principle, extolled principle behind all the Vedanta, the Vedic concepts. So that is one. So I have a couple of more things to talk about. In terms of Arunagirinadhar's broad approach to include all deities. And the next slide shows a scenario where Arunagirinadhar fills up a gap that Valmiki and in the South Kamparamana Tulasidas did not talk about what happened in the case of Sri Rama. Between the age of the time of birth and his appearing in Dasharatha's court in front of Vishwamitra. So nobody, unlike Krishna Leela, which is described in great detail, Yashoda and Krishna, Arunagirinadhar imagines he tells us what happened during Rama's childhood. Here, Kausalya very affectionately, with all the love of a mother, invites the baby Rama crawling, to come near her and drink her stanyapana, her milk, and it's so beautiful. If you sing it, you would again, like I said before, you would get immersed in it. So, next slide, please. Maybe, I'm going a bit farther than this slide. So let me come to that after the next slide. Yeah. So Murali, sorry, go to the next slide. Yeah, this slide is just to show you that the coverage of all deities by Arunagirinadhar happens in very many songs. And this clip that I got here, can you go to number 11? Yeah, slide number 11, and show the this clip, video clip, a short one, 2 minutes or so. We may have to stop it somewhere in the middle, but if it's not possible, I'll tell you what it was supposed to be. Because looking at this picture itself on the screen, you see that all sorts of scenarios. Shivan, Ganapati is portrayed in various forms, and Ramayana is depicted at the bottom. As they are in the last. Yeah, Tripura Samharam, Arunachala Jyoti, all these things are portrayed in the various songs of Thirupugazh. I have, if it doesn't work, morally we can, and we can listen. Yeah, that is also me and our Toronto Amberhart to cherish and remember Guruji's visit to Toronto. That's when he sang this, and I picked that up to show you the pictures at the back, which shows Muruga is a guru of Shiva and so many other connections to other deities. So we are running a bit late, so I have to finish it now with the couple of important things about the organization of a typical Thirupugazh song will be. The first part will tell the anitya, the impermanence of human life and the folly of pursuing worldly pleasures, and paint all sorts of miserable things that we are actually dealing with when we deal with human life, like old age and diseases, and finally death. All these things are portrayed in great detail by Arunagirinadhar, just like Shankara did and other people did in their works. The important thing is for people to be reminded of the impermanence of human life and the sufferings that one just go through. Even though we think it is pleasurable for some time, it becomes finally a question of misery. So then against this background of what is called anityam, to nitya and nitya vivekam is the first step. To know what is anityam and what is nityam is the first step towards the spiritual progress in Hindu Vedantic approach. So the second part therefore tells you what is nityam. So there Murugan's glory and his compassion also, so all these are described in all these songs, so that you can relate to both the first part as one of the many who is still not realizing the glory of Muruga, and then the next part makes you get immersed in him and you forget yourself. So that's the general important message that Arunagirinadhar gives in almost all the songs. And we will move, I have a few more to tell how Shankaracharya also has, for example, Shankaracharya's Bhajagovindam says, Nari sthana bharana desham, drishtva maga mohavesham, etan mamsavashadi vikaram, manasi vichintaya varam varam, bhajagovindam. So all these, pleasures of flesh and all that, basically it is just flesh, blood and, nerves and other things connecting with the body. So don't get allured to human flesh, the pleasures of flesh, and then, move on. So Arunagirinadhar also lists, like Shankara did earlier, the various diseases, So I have a disease list in the next slide, which shows, the Tamil is difficult for you is to read. So, and I also don't have the time. Basically, you can take it from me that it lists very many, starting with just simple cough to epilepsy and diabetes and, the thyroid. So many, diseases are listed for us to be aware of. So we sing this particular Thirupugazh song, it's a Tirutanigai song in every bhajan that we do, and also particularly relevant for this today's pandemic surrounding. So this Irumalu Roga, which is essentially the same approach that Shankara used in Subramanya Bhujanga Stotram, Apasmara Kushtak Chayarsha Prameha, Juronmadi Gulmadi, Roga Mahantaha, Pishashasha Sarve, Bhavat Patra Bhuti, Biloke, Chanat Tarakare Dravante. So that is the Anitya, and then the glory of Muruga is given, like Mayura, Dhirodam, Mahavakya, Godam. Likewise, Muruga also says, Erdariya, Harimukhamam, Ratna Kudambayam, etc. So many beautiful descriptions of Muruga to tell you where the real, permanent happiness lies. And now the last part, I've exceeded by 5 minutes. Either I can stop here or just go to the very last one, because that's the important final one of the messages to take home, is what what Lord Muruga Subramanya gave him Arunagirinadhar as the central Upadesha, which is just like any other, the 4 Mahavakyas in Vedas. Arunagirinadhar was given a Mahavakya, which is Chumma ire chollara. This is the Mahavakya. This in Tamil, Chumma ire, that is Tamil. The translation would be still. Chumma ire could even be just be. Chumma is also be, ire is to be. So that's the sat, to be. And then this, if you are still, like we experience momentarily in our deep sleep state, when the mind does not work and the indriyas don't work, you get into a blissful state, but unfortunately only to come back to the regular routine with our ego identifying itself with our body and mind. So the Summa is the state of permanently being in the state of permanently being in self, inside the self as yourself and as one, Advaita. So that is Summa ire. Chollara is the Maunam, that is be silent. Maunam is what Lord Dakshinamurti advised to the Sanagadi Rishis, and Maunam again has a lot of deep connotations and arthas, meanings to it. Basically, again, when you are completely silent and be just by yourself, you get into this Sat, Chit, and Ananda. All knowledge, all bliss, and all existence, just the very existence. You become that. So that was the final message that Arunagirinadhar gave to. Muruga gave to Arunagirinadhar, and I would like to conclude by saying that in the end, when we apply all these things to our practical life, love is a general running thread in among all these poems and all the concepts of almost every religion. The love towards other people, and finally to Lord in his manifested form, manifesting himself or herself like everything in the universe, living and non-living. Love dissolves your ego. For example, if you love your wife or child or husband, then you are actually becoming them. Your ego gets diluted. And if you expand it to living and non-living things, look at a small flower and then see yourself in it. So, this is practical. You can do it. So by sheer love, you achieve the goal of bhakti by seeing God in everything that you see, by realizing God in everything that you see. And finally, when this expands infinitely, your ego is dissolved completely, or you can say that your ego becomes the ego of the entire universe and beyond, then you become that one, which is forever, permanent, akhanda, and ananda. So I want to again thank all of you for bearing with me for this 1 hour or so. And I'll say namaskar, and any questions or comments will be greatly appreciated.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Having grown up in Madras, the present Chennai, I've heard a lot about Thirupugazh and Saint Arunagirinadhar. But my knowledge is very limited In fact, I would say the extension of my knowledge is the melodious song by P. Sushila, Thirupugazh Pada Pada Vai Manakkum, which means the mouth smells awesome after chanting Thirupugazh.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, but Professor, today after having listened to you, I have gained so much knowledge about Saint Arunagirinadhar and his masterpiece, the Thirupugazh. I feel so complete and rejuvenated. Thank you so much for this enlightening talk on the great saint. As per the format, we were supposed to receive questions on the chat line, which I will be asking you. But probably your talk was so enlightening that people don't have much questions, although I have one question, which I will ask. You mentioned it is assumed that Sri Arunagirinadhar composed about 1,600 poems and about 1,300 are available.
16,000 poems.
16,000 poems and about 16,000 and 13,000 are available. What about the
No, again, sorry, 1,300, like 1,300. Yeah.
1,300.
Yeah.
What about the rest? Are they lost or? That's the question.
Yeah, you remember the persons who took the enormous effort to discover or unearth all these Thirupugazh songs with all that labor, and even afterwards, some people may have tried, but there was no other Thirupugazh available. They all, unfortunately, they must have perished, the rest of them. So Professor Pashupati has a comment here telling that we have approximately 1,500 plus poems now.
No,
I said 1,335 going by the book, but Professor Pashupati, who is extremely knowledgeable about Thirupugazh and other literature.
Make it 1,300. It's just a mistake.
Sorry?
It should be 1,300 plus only.
Yeah.
Yeah, he corrected it later in the subsequent.
Oh.
He said
okay. So I didn't see the next comment. Yeah. So then, because I feel a bit sorry for exceeding time, because in a classroom scenario, in a classroom scenario, the guys have only 45 minutes of attention span, and then they come and so we are so particular about time that if I exceed it, it feels like you did a big crime. And therefore, I exceeded by several minutes. But unfortunately or fortunately, Thirupugazh is an ocean. You cannot just confine it to a small time period. And I even made, to be honest with you, I even made a small rehearsal this morning, and I was quite comfortable with 1 hour. But now I went. So my apologies to all of you.
One more question on YouTube. They ask, how did the end come for Saint Arunagirinadhar? How did
the end? Yeah, that is an interesting question. So there is, it's actually a story only. Arunagirinadhar was living, like I said, in the time of Prabhupada Devaraya. And in the court, there was a competitor. Just like all these scholars have somebody who don't like them, because they themselves are scholars and they think they are bigger, better than the other. So one Sambandhandan is the name. So he challenges Arunagirinadhar, first of all, to compete with him for the glory of Devi as opposed to Muruga. Sambandhandan said Devi is the supreme. And so they go to the Tiruvannamalai temple, and then the challenge was that you bring a Muruga in this particular pillar, or I will bring Devi here. So whoever brings a Devi in front of all others, wins. So Sambandhandan is a very powerful poet himself and very bhakti person. So he sings, and Devi gets very moved. She was about to come, but then Arunagirinadhar sings about Muruga and asks him to sit tightly on her mother's lap and hold her. So he requests mother also to hold Arunagirinadhar. Yeah, so likewise, that's a big competition. Eventually, there is a song which is Adala Chedana Rada, Agila Merua Rada. So there's a dance song that Arunagirinadhar does. And finally, Devi had to release Muruga because she was dancing. So then Muruga descends and appears in the. You can see that Stambam even today in Tiruvannamalai. So that is one. To your other question about Arunagirinadhar's others end, the same Sambandana challenges him to bring Parijata Pushpam from Devaloka to cure some royal person. And the king commands Arunagirinadhar to go do it. So Arunagirinadhar went in the form of a parrot and went to bring the Parijata flower. But in the meantime, Sambandana and others, they burnt Arunagirinadhar's body. So Arunagirinadhar then lived forever as a parrot singing the glory of Muruga. So we call him Arunakili. Kili is a parrot. So the Arunakili even today is singing. If you listen carefully. Yeah, no, I mean you can hear him. So this is Muruga everywhere. So yeah, so he is everywhere. Anybody who is a jnani is all over the place. Bhagavan's grace is everywhere. All we need is to tune it. Tune, and then you get. Yeah, it's very practical. So that is Arunagirinadhar's end. Meaning, therefore, Chiranjeevi means ever living in this sense. They live in everything that you see. They are no different from you. So everywhere is them. Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyamavat Vyapta Dekhaya Dakshinamurti. So the Ishvara, Guru and yourself are one and the same. So when you become that one, there is nothing different from you. So they live forever. Yeah, when Bhagavan Ramana was asked, was very, he was very sick with cancer, but it didn't bother him at all. They operated his hands, and somebody asked him, Swami, please don't go. And he said, where will I go? Enga poven. Because he is everywhere. So there's no space or time bound for them. So that is a kind of life.
Thank you so much, Professor. Now I request our Lakshman to say a few words.
Thank you.
Shri Guru Namaha. Professor Ananthanarayanan, it's a privilege for me to be able to say a few words. We in Toronto are very thankful to gurus and devotees like yourself to be amongst us and share your knowledge and experience with the community here. Professor Ananthanarayanan, I just want to share a thought with you. About 12, 13, 15 years back, when we went to Sringeri, asking our Gurujis, our Guruji Bharadita Swamiji, to give his permission to build the mutt here. He asked how many sanadhis are you going to be having. And I had been to Coimbatore before going to Sringeri for some other reason. We went to Sringeri temple in Coimbatore. There we saw, besides Sharadamba and Shankaracharya and Ganesha, there was a sanadhi for Subramanya.
Okay.
So when we went to Sringeri, Ravi Subramanya was with me. We humbly requested Swamiji to give us his blessings to have sanadhis besides the usual 3 they always allow us to do. We asked for sanadhi for Subramanya Swamiji, Subramanya, and then Krishna Parivar, Ram Parivar, and Anjaneya. We asked his permission, and he said, normally we do only 3, we say Sharadamba, Ganesha, and Shankara, and Ninga Kekra. Now, Namaskaramani, I said, we have a big community, Subramanya Muruga devotees in GTA, and also we have North Indian community to bring them all together in Sringeri. Not alone that we have the temple, but also the community center to have do other activities. We requested Acharya to give us blessing to have Subramanya Sandhi.
Okay.
Today, having this event with you, Professor Ananthanarayanan, what I would like to say is, we are blessed that the Thirupugazh group decided to continue with the devotional bhajans at our SVPF temple. And when you showed Guru Raghavan, I saw there Kiturna, I saw there Balu, who was part of the group, went back to India, went back to Trivandrum, and he is continuing with the Thirupugazh bhajans. And it just tells us how fortunate we are to have somebody like you who came from Bangalore Institute of Science, Madurai Institute of Science, Newfoundland, and going to Singapore. And they are blessed that we have a teacher, a guru like you, teaching science, not alone science, but also giving us your spiritual knowledge and sharing it with us. We in GTA are blessed, Professor Ananthanarayanan, that you are here, you people like yourself, and Professor Pasupati is another one, that we're very, very blessed to have you all. And you are not alone that we have, and you are generous, sharing your thoughts, ideas, and as a good teacher, for giving us your life experience, sharing with the community. On behalf of SVPF, Professor Ananthanarayanan, I want to thank you for all that you do to our community. And through this, you're also teaching youngsters, and they're also coming and following and choosing SVPF to continue to do what you're doing. Yourself and Professor Pasupati and Shanta Krishnamurti and many others, we in SVPF are very grateful for you choosing SVPF. Please continue doing what you're doing. Help us to help the community. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you very much. All of you there, you are putting so much of effort. So ours is nothing. Thank you.
Professor, I have posted some comments from the YouTube on Zoom for you to read.
Okay.
Now I will request Brinda Murali to propose a vote of thanks.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Today I learned Thirupugazh means supreme praise. And now I have the responsibility to do the vote of thanks. Well, I'm not sure I'm qualified enough to thank Professor Ananthanarayanan for his incredible lecture today. Dr. Parambat, in his introductory note at the top of the program, said, Professor Ananthanarayanan is a tumbida koda in Kannada, a full pot of water, which is serene and majestic in its presence. I would like to respectfully add that Professor Ananth is a full pot of Jnana Sudha, the divine nectar. On this auspicious day of Shrishti, Professor served us with the divine nectar of Thirupugazh by Saint Arunagirinathar. On behalf of Jnana Sudha team and all SVPF devotees, my pranams to you, sir, Professor Ananthanarayanan, and thank you immensely for today's enlightening talk.
Thank you again.
These events are made possible only by the foresight of our elders at SVPF, Dr. Lakshmanan, our chairman, trustee Dr. Parambat. We are forever thankful to you, sirs, for providing us with these opportunities time and time again. Now it is time to thank the very fountainhead of Jnana Sudha series, Dr. Alkananda.
Sure.
Dr. Alkananda herself, an ardent spiritual seeker, is an inspiration to all of us and a guru to many, many of us at SVPF in Canada, US, India, and many more places. Thank you, Dr. Alkananda. Without the online viewers, our Jnana Sudha series is not flowing. So at this point, I would like to convey our thanks to our online viewers for your continued participation and support, which gives us the energy and purpose to give many programs from SVBF platform. With that purpose, a team of volunteers, we work enthusiastically behind the scenes for Jnana Sudha series. I would like to thank Kishore Nath, Gopinath, Shrikant, Sunil, and Sriram Ganeshan, who you saw at the top of the program for managing the Zoom. Ravi Shankar Hulikal, who ably conducts the Q&A sessions and creates beautiful flyers and spearheads the publicity. With Sriram Ganeshan, Radha is there, his inspiration. With Ravi Shankar, Chandrika is there, his inspiration. And my partner, Gani Muralidhar, for creating the event video and assisting Professor with this slide presentation today. That brings me to the next program. Before signing off, I would like to invite you to the next Jnana Sudha event, a special lecture demonstration by Dr. Alakananda and Dr. Swiyamurthy. Please mark your calendars. It will be on 19th September at 4 p.m. The topic is Unique Power of Sri Adi Shankaracharya, his stotras. So we hope that you will mark your calendar, spread the word, and join us in the Jnana Sudha series. Thank you very much for today's participation.